Hello there. Within the last hour, the authorities in Los Angeles have been giving more details about their investigation into the deaths of the actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa.
Getting ready to share new details today of the investigation into the deaths of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife and one of the couple's dogs.
When the FBI revealed the last footage of Gene Hackman in his home before his death, it sent shockwaves through the world. What was seen in those final moments raised more questions than answers. The legendary actor, once the commanding presence of Hollywood, was found lifeless in the home he had shared with his wife, Betsy Arakawa. But the footage, it wasn't just about the actor who had left us, it was about the mystery of his final days and the untold story of what really happened in those last moments. Was it just the end of an iconic career and a quiet life? Or did something more sinister linger in the shadows of Hackman's final hours? Stick around, because this is something you won't want to miss. Hackman's health declined Gene. Hackman, the man who once played the gruff, hard-boiled characters, had been quietly battling health issues for years. By the time 2025 rolled around, Hackman, who was 94 years old, had long since retired from acting, leaving the spotlight behind. His declining health wasn't a secret. In fact, the world knew that Hackman had been struggling with advanced Alzheimer's disease and severe cardiovascular issues. But what we didn't know was how this deteriorating health would affect his life in the final years. Hackman had lived in relative privacy in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, a talented pianist. The two were inseparable, and Betsy had taken on the role of his primary caretaker, supporting him as his health worsened. It was a sad reality for someone who had once been at the peak of their craft, a stark contrast to the hard-edged characters he portrayed in his prime. Betsy Arakawa's untimely passing. Betsy, Hackman's wife, passed away unexpectedly on February 11, 2025. At first, authorities believed she had died from hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare but serious disease. But as the investigation unfolded, something didn't quite add up. Hackman, already in poor health, seemed to be getting worse by the day. On February 12th, Dr. Josiah Child, who had been treating Betsy for some time, confirmed that she had made a call to his clinic the day before her death, suggesting her symptoms were much more severe than initially reported. This threw the investigation into question, leaving many to wonder if there was more to the story than just a simple virus. Discovery of the couple. On February 26th, 2025, it wasn't a phone call that led authorities to Gene Hackman's doorstep, it was a wellness check. Neighbors hadn't seen the couple in days, and the unusual silence raised suspicions. When officers arrived, they discovered both Hackman and Betsy deceased in their home. The scene wasn't what one might expect. Hackman, now clearly frail and almost unrecognizable, appeared to have passed due to heart failure. Betsy's death, however, was shrouded in mystery. While the initial conclusion pointed to hantavirus, the inconsistencies in the timeline and her doctor's statements left more questions than answers. Release of final footage. And here's where it gets even stranger. The FBI, in collaboration with local authorities, had gathered video footage from the couple's home. This footage had been kept under wraps for months as investigators tried to piece together what exactly had happened in those final days. In an unprecedented move, the FBI decided to release this footage to the public. What it showed was a series of intimate, unsettling moments. Hackman, alone in the living room, struggling to get out of his chair, Betsy nearby, offering a gentle hand to steady him. There were times when Hackman seemed to be lucid, other moments where his Alzheimer's symptoms were painfully obvious. The footage revealed his vulnerability, his frailty, but also his undeniable strength, qualities that made him a legend on screen. But in this footage, he was just a man, facing the inevitable. The video also showed a glimpse of Betsy's final days, how she seemed to be fading just as much as Hackman. Was it the virus, or something more sinister? The footage didn't answer all the questions, but it was a haunting glimpse into the couple's life in their final days. Legal actions to protect privacy. Naturally, the release of this footage caused an uproar. Hackman's estate, now controlled by Betsy's family, immediately sought legal action to block further distribution of the video. They argued that releasing such intimate footage violated the couple's privacy and disrespected their legacy. This legal battle made headlines as it played out in court. The estate's petition raised a very valid point. Was it ethical for the FBI to release such private material to the public, simply to satisfy a morbid curiosity? The court's decision, while not unanimous, ultimately sided with the FBI's argument for transparency. This meant that for the first time, the public had access to the most personal footage of one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. The media's reaction to the footage was as divided as the court's decision. Some outlets hailed the footage as an important glimpse into the life of a star who had kept his struggles hidden from the world. Others, however, were disgusted by the release, calling it an exploitation of Hackman's final moments. Fans of Hackman, too, were torn. Many expressed their sadness over the way the footage painted such a stark image of the man they had adored for decades. Others felt it was a necessary part of understanding the circumstances surrounding his death. The debate over the ethics of releasing such footage was something no one had anticipated when the first reports of Hackman's passing surfaced. Ongoing investigation. But even with the footage now available, many questions remain. Was the hantavirus really the cause of Betsy's death? Was there something more to her sudden passing that the authorities are still withholding? And why had Hackman's health deteriorated so rapidly in his final months? The investigation is ongoing. Authorities are piecing together evidence, talking to people who were close to the couple, and examining Hackman's medical records. While we may never know the full story behind their deaths, the release of the footage has opened up a new chapter in the investigation. As with any high-profile case, speculation has run rampant. Some people believe there was foul play involved, perhaps a hidden conspiracy that led to the couple's deaths. Others argue that Hackman's health was simply too fragile to survive for much longer, and that Betsy's death, although tragic, was the result of a natural illness. Of course, there are those who think that the FBI may have released the footage for reasons other than just transparency. Could this be part of a larger narrative being constructed by authorities? Is there something the public isn't being told? While these are all valid questions, the truth remains elusive. Regardless of the circumstances surrounding his death, one thing is certain. Gene Hackman's legacy will not be overshadowed by his final days. Hackman, who spent more than 5 decades in the film industry, gave us some of the most unforgettable performances in cinematic history. His portrayal of heroes, villains, and anti-heroes alike earned him 2 Academy Awards and a place in the pantheon of acting legends. Fans from all over the world continue to honor his work, with tributes flooding social media platforms and film festivals alike. Even in his final years, Hackman remained a beloved figure, a testament to the power of his performances. Gene Hackman's passing has left a hole in the world of cinema, but the release of the footage has raised more questions than answers. While we may never know the full truth behind his last moments, one thing is certain: his legacy will live on. The man who once captivated audiences with his brilliant performances deserves to be remembered not just for his work, but for the humanity he brought to the screen. If you found this story intriguing, leave a comment below, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates. Hit the bell icon to stay in the loop.